Hola estudiantes, bienvenidos a la clase de español 2. Today we're going to be studying capítulo 10, lección 2b. That's chapter 10, lesson 2b. So we'll be reviewing the first half of lesson 2 and then doing some new material for the second half of lesson 2. Let's begin by doing our homework review. In your cuaderno, your workbook, página 175 a 176, actividad 2 y 3, el imperativo. We've been talking about the imperative form of the verb. That is the command form, specifically in this activity for usted and ustedes. Remember that usted is the formal singular, and then ustedes is the formal plural. The activity says, the people in the small town of Sauce are posting signs asking others not to do various things. Pretend you are one of those people and write negative imperative sentences with the information provided. Be polite and say please each time. So we are using the usted form here. So, número uno, doblar a la derecha. We remember from our homework that doblar is to turn a la derecha, to the right. The answer for this one that you should have in your homework is no doble a la derecha, por favor. Remember, doblar is an AR verb. We form our imperative from the yo form. So we go from doblar to doblo. We drop the O for doble. Then we use the opposite ending. For an AR verb, that would be E, as you see right here in the answer, doble. No doble a la derecha, por favor. Don't turn to the right, please. Número 3, gritar en la calle, to shout in the street. Gritar en la calle. The answer that you should have is no grite en la calle, por favor. No grite en la calle, por favor. Don't yell, don't shout in the street, please. Número 5, ir descalzo por la ciudad, to go barefoot through the city. The answer that you should have there is no vaya descalzo por la ciudad, por favor. Don't go barefoot through the city, please. Ciudad is city. No vaya. Now remember, that one is a little bit irregular. Whenever we have a regular conjugation of the yo form that ends in oy, like we would with ir in the yo form is yo voy, and you remember that. The oy is a reminder to us that we will not use the typical formation rules for the command. That's why we have vaya, and hopefully you are working on memorizing those irregulars. We'll talk a little bit more about those in today's lesson. Número 7, escribir en las paredes, to write on the walls. The answer that you should have for número 7 is no escriba en las paredes, por favor. Do not write on the walls, please. And make sure that you've got any corrections marked in red there so that you know why you missed what you missed. And if you don't understand it, that's one of the things that you should ask about when we're together again. Let's move on to our next homework slide. This one, let me get myself out of the way here. This one, ejercicio B, write a negative imperative sentence in the ustedes form for each sign below. So again, we're only doing the odd, so we will just do 1, 3, 5, y 7. But let's make sure that we know what each of these verbs mean. Adelantar is to pass. Beber is to drink. Cantar is to sing. Comer is to eat. Entrar, to enter. Estacionar, to park. And hablar, to speak. I'm a completist. I've got to go back and highlight this one. Adelantar is to pass. Make sure you know what each of those means. Then let's look at the signs down here at the bottom, and let's check your answers for each one of these. Número 1. This sign, número 1, should be no beban. Don't drink. And remember, we're using the ustedes form here, so each of these should have that N ending, that N al término de la palabra, porque la palabra es plural. El verbo es plural aquí. The verb is plural here, so it should have that N at the end. Número 3, no estacionen. Do not park. No parking. No estacionen. Número 5, no coman. Do not eat. No coman. Número 7, no canten. No singing. no canten. All right, again, make sure you have any questions marked in red. That way we can go back through and talk about those when we're together again. Actividad 3, the next section, and the last part of our homework. These are the negative forms of to. Now remember, for the to form of the imperative, the affirmative command, do something, and the negative command, don't do something, are formed differently. With our ustedes form, it really was just a matter of putting a no at the beginning to make the negative command. But with tú, not only do you have to put the no, but the negative command is conjugated differently than the affirmative command. All right, so let's look at exercise 3 here, ejercicio 3. El imperativo, las formas negativas de tú. Your friend Roberto is always talking about how much he wants to improve his lifestyle. Give him advice using the negative tú imperative form of the following verbs in parentheses. Notice that we have some irregular in this activity as well as regular verbs. So I hope you looked those up. I hope you checked to see from our previous lessons which ones are regular and which ones are irregular. Número 1. No beber tantos refrescos. Don't drink so many soft drinks. That would be no bebas. Again, we build from the yo form, bebo, drop the o, beb, then add the opposite ending with the s. Since it's an ER verb, we're going to use the a, the a. No bebas tantos refrescos. Número 3. Don't go to the ice cream parlor each afternoon. That's always good advice. No vayas. No vayas a la heladería cada tarde. Don't go. And this one is irregular. Remember, we know it's irregular because the yo form is formed with boy, that oy. That reminds us that it's going to be irregular. Número 5. No hablar tanto. Don't talk so much. Haz algo. Do something. Don't talk so much. Do something. The negative to command there for hablar is hables. No hables tanto. Haz algo. Again, if you have questions, let's talk about those the next time we're together. Moving on to our verse review. Our verse for chapter 10 is Juan 4:34. John 4:34. Let's go ahead and say this together. Go ahead and speak right with me as we go through the verse together. Juan 4:34. Jesús les dijo, mi comida es que haga la voluntad del que me envió y que acabe su obra. Juan 4:34. Let's practice a little bit by seeing if you can remember which word is missing here. From our verse down there at the bottom of the screen, what word is missing? The word that's missing is voluntad, will, voluntad. Y aquí, ¿cuál palabra nos falta? Aquí la palabra que nos falta es acabe, finished, acabe. La próxima, ¿cuál palabra nos falta aquí? La palabra es haga, do, haga. Y aquí, ¿cuál palabra nos falta? La palabra es les, them, les. Y aquí, la última, the last one, ¿cuál palabra nos falta? La palabra es comida, food, or meal, food. Make sure you're reviewing that verse. You will be responsible for writing that verse when we get to the Chapter 10 test. So make sure that you are practicing that each day and you are familiar with it. We've been talking about Córdoba and the city of Granada as we've gone through this chapter. I do have a link in the playlist that I'd like you all on your own time to go ahead and go through and take a look at that. It's kind of a little virtual field trip where we look at some of the details of the city of Córdoba, Spain, and it gives you a very good view of what the city is like and many of the beautiful things that you can see there, especially the magnificent Mexquita. So as you look through the playlist for our class for Spanish 2, I want you to take a look for Córdoba, Spain, the magnificent Mexquita, and watch that video later after the lecture is finished. I think you'll enjoy that. Okay, the refrán from this lesson that we've been going over is la práctica hace al maestro. I want you to say that with me, clase. La práctica hace al maestro. Practice makes the master, or practice makes perfect. La práctica hace al maestro. And then we've been going through our countries and capitals. Remember, for each of these, you want to be able to locate the country on the map, as well as knowing the flag, la bandera, and the capital of the country. Clase, ¿cuál es la capital de Cuba? Es La Habana. ¿Cuál es la capital de Panamá? Es Panamá. ¿Cuál es la capital de Chile? Santiago. ¿Cuál es la capital de Uruguay? Es Montevideo. ¿Cuál es la capital de Paraguay? Es Asunción. ¿Cuál es la capital de Guatemala? Es tan fácil, Guatemala. La capital de Honduras es Tegucigalpa. Y la capital de El Salvador es San Salvador. La capital de Nicaragua es Managua. Managua, Nicaragua. De Costa Rica, la capital es San Jose. Okay. A little bit of quick vocabulary review. We've been going over this vocab for several lessons now, so quick review should be all we need at this point. Caminar dos cuadras, to walk 2 blocks. Cruzar la calle, to cross the street. A la izquierda and a la derecha, to the left and to the right. A la izquierda, a la derecha. Doblar is to turn. And then again, I wanted to remind you about this expression. Una milla es igual a 1,6 kilómetros. 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. A couple of reminders about our store vocabulary. Remember that many times in Espanol, our stores will have the clue words or the root words at the beginning telling us what is being sold at the store. We can see this specifically in letra J, letter J. We see la lechería. La lechería, we see at the beginning of the word that leche is milk. Ia tells us that it's a place where milk is sold. So la lechería would be a dairy or a milk store. We can see this in the last one as well, letra Q, la zapatería. La zapatería is going to be a place where shoes are sold, because zapatos is the word for shoes, and ia tells us that this is a place where the shoes are sold. Go over those store vocabulary terms, make sure you know those, but keep in mind that you can make a solid guess as to what those stores are by breaking the word down and building from words that you already know. A quick review, and we've already reviewed really this grammar with our homework that we just reviewed. El imperativo, the way that we form the usted and the ustedes form. We'll just look at the first example here. No cante tan fuerte. The verb is cantar, and remember that cantar is an AR verb. So we form the yo form first of all. We have canto. Once we have the yo form, we eliminate the ending and we're left with the stem cant. Then we add the opposite from the AR endings, which would be E. So that's where we get no cante tan fuerte. Don't sing so loud. If we wanted to make it the ustedes form, we would just add that in to make it plural. No canten tan fuerte. You all don't sing so loud. It works the same way for insistan. The verb is insistir. And so we follow that same format. Insisto, then we drop the O, insist, then we use the opposite ending from IR, which would be A, insista, or no insista, no insistan. No insistan en salir ahora. Don't insist on leaving right now. And just by way of review, too, you may be still wondering, why do we do that yo form at the beginning? We do it because of verbs like this one right here. Hacer has an irregular yo form, and we have to use that irregular yo form to form the imperative. We have the verb hacer. The yo form of the verb hacer is hago. Then we eliminate our ending and we're left with the stem ag. Since it's an ER verb, we're going to use A endings. So we would have aga, or if it's plural, agan. And of course, this is negative. No haga, no hagan. Don't do that. No haga eso. So you can see why it's so important that we have the yo form. We have to go to the yo form first. Many times there isn't a change in the yo form. But for verbs like hacer, there is. And we have to use that altered stem from the yo conjugation in order to get the correct imperative form. Still reviewing the negative form of to, because remember, the affirmative form of the to is different than the negative form of the to. The affirmative is just the regular L form. Regular old L form, that's going to be the affirmative. But the negative form of to will follow the same procedure that we just talked about with usted and ustedes, except instead of an N or nothing at the end, it's going to have that S, because the S really is what we have for the to form. So for hablar, you can see the process detailed right here for you. For hablar, we would go hablo for the yo form, then we would drop the o ending, we would have hable, and then we would have to add the es. We use the opposite of the ar, which would be es. No hables con chicle en la boca. Don't talk with gum in your mouth. So that's the same process. For usted, it's just going to be the a or the e. For ustedes, it's going to be the an or the en. And for the negative tu, it's going to be the as or the es, depending on what the opposite ending of the infinitive is from our original verb. There are some negative to commands that don't follow that process. These are irregular and they don't use the yo form. You can remember these. We've talked about this before, but you can remember these because most of them in the regular yo form are going to have doi. And you don't want to use doi to form, or oi. Doi is doi, soy, boy. You don't want to use that oi conjugation to form your negative to command. So this chart, these 5 verbs and the 5 negative to commands really just need to be memorized. So for dar, it's no des, don't give. For estar, it would be no estés, don't be. And that deals with location or condition. Then ser, no seas, don't be. Saber, no sepas, don't know. Ir would be to go. No vayas, don't go. Right, so we really just have to memorize those irregulars. And with only 5 of them, that shouldn't be too much to commit to memory. New for today, we're talking about adding these pronouns to the command form. And we do this in English a lot as well. If we were to say in English, study the book, we may just say study it. So we're changing the direct object pronoun book to a pronoun it. And that's what we're doing with these as well. Objective and even reflexive pronouns are going to be attached to the end of an affirmative command. Let's look at the first example here. Invito a María a la fiesta. Am I inviting Maria to the party? Sí, invítala. And you can see that it's broken up into 2 parts. We've got invita, which is the command. Yes, invite. And then we have the object pronoun la. The object pronoun la refers to Maria. Invite her. Maria is feminine singular, so we use the feminine singular pronoun la. Sí, invítala. And then, of course, we have to mark that accent mark. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Invito a Pablo y Rafael. Am I inviting Pablo and Rafael? Sí, invita. There's the first part. You can see it right there. Sí, invita. Yes, invite. But whom am I inviting? Pablo y Rafael. Masculine plural. That's why in the second one, I had to use los. Sí, invítalos. The first one I said invítala because Maria was feminine singular. In the second one, I use invítalos because Pablo y Rafael are masculine plural. Invítalos. Le escribo al presidente. Do I write to the president? Sí, escríbele. Yes, write him. Escríbele. Now with this one, we used an indirect object pronoun, le. We specifically use the indirect object pronoun le here because we are assuming that we are writing a letter, and that would be our direct object, writing him a letter. I'm not literally writing the word him. I'm not writing him. I'm writing a letter to him. And so that was why the choice was made here to use the indirect object pronoun le rather than the direct object pronoun lo. Sí, escríbele, write him. Te doy el libro. This one's got a lot going on here. Let's break this one down and take a look at it. Te doy el libro. Am I giving you the book? Sí. Da. Yes. Give me it. See how I did two there? I've got the indirect object pronoun me and the direct object pronoun lo. Give me it. The me there refers to you, me, and lo refers to the book itself. Sí, dámelo. Yes, give me it. The last one that we have here, the last example we have is a reflexive. Me levanto temprano. Do I get up early? Me levanto temprano. Levantarse is the reflexive pronoun for to get oneself up, like out of bed. Me levanto temprano. Sí. Levanta is get up. Levántate is get yourself up early. Levántate. So we use the reflexive pronoun there. It's still considered an object pronoun, but it just gives that reflexive connotation of doing the action back on yourself or a part of yourself. Yes, get yourself up early. Sí, levántate temprano. So let's talk about those accent marks. When do you add an accent mark? When you give the command and you add a pronoun to the end of the affirmative command, when do you get that accent mark in there? When the pronoun is attached, we're on page 266 in el libro, 266 in your textbooks. When the pronoun is attached to the affirmative command, an accent mark is usually going to be needed over the strong vowel of the verb in order to keep the stress in the original syllable. You don't want to change the pronunciation of the word. If the command form only has two syllables, then you don't have to worry about it. The accent mark is not needed. Look at this example right here. Dame el libro, por favor. I've got the word da, which is give, and I have the word me, which is me. Now, these two words go together because it is an affirmative command with an object pronoun. So it becomes dame. But since there are only two syllables, dame, it's not necessary to attach that infinitive. To attach that accent mark here over the A. It's already there. It doesn't need to be marked. But if I were to attach both a direct and an indirect object pronoun, give me it. When I connect all three of these together, I have dámelo, and I need to accent the strong vowel in the original verb, dámelo. Otherwise, I would end up with dámelo, dámelo, which is not the word. I want to keep the sound of that original command verb, dámelo. All right? So with affirmative commands, we attach those pronouns to the end of the affirmative command. But that is only with affirmative commands. With negative commands, those pronouns are going to come before the negative command. With affirmative commands, they come after. With negative commands, those pronouns come before. Look at the examples right here on our slide. Me quedo hasta las 9. Do I stay until 9? No, no te quedes. No te quedes. No, do not remain or do not stay. So you can see that reflexive pronoun there comes before the conjugated verb, not after, because it's a negative command. Te compro una soda. Do I buy you a soda? No, no me la compres. No, don't buy me it. All right, so we have to make sure that all of those pronouns agree with the words that they are replacing, but the placement also has to be correct. Again, with affirmative commands, those pronouns will get attached to the end. But with negative commands, they will come before the conjugated form of the verb. Let's take a look at actividad 3. Actividad 3 en el libro. That is on página 266, 266. You have a house guest who is making many suggestions about the things she would like to do while visiting you. Respond to your friend's suggestions in the form of either an affirmative or a negative to command. Do this exercise. We're not going to do this exercise with a partner. We're just going to work through the command forms themselves. All right, so let's take a look at the modelo. Llama por teléfono a Rosita. To call on the phone, por teléfono means by means of the telephone. Llamar por teléfono a Rosita. So to call on the phone, Rosita. So we would give an affirmative command and then a negative command. So the affirmative command is right here. Wrong button, Mr. Moore. The affirmative command is right here. Llámala. Call her. Está bien, that's good. Call her. Llámala. If I wanted to say don't call her, remember I've got to go through that process for the negative conjugation of the two. The negative command, which would be no llames, don't call. And then I have to put the object pronoun la, which refers to her, before the conjugated verb. So no la llames. Llámala, llámala, call her. No la llames, don't call her. All right, I'd like you to go ahead and pause the video at this point, and I'd like you to do número 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Do the odds, and let's see how that goes. We'll check those in just a moment. Okay, so I hope that exercise went well for you. Let's check your answers. Remember, you were doing the odds. So let's see how all of this went. Button here. Let's check your answers. For número 1, the affirmative would be léelo. Leer el periódico ahora, read the book now. So the affirmative command is léelo, read it. Now remember, lee is a 2-syllable command. So we will need to put an accent mark over the syllable that has the emphasis in the word lee. So that's why that first syllable right here, that first E or A has that accent mark. And then the negative, no lo leas. Remember, for the negative commands, we have to follow that process. The process of leer to leo, drop the O, and then since it's an ER verb, we add the opposite AS ending. No lo leas. Número 3. Escríbele. Write him. Write him. And then the negative, no le escribas. Don't write him. Or her, I'm sorry, that's her. My friend. In número 3, in the exercise, you'll see that that's amiga. No le escribas. Número 5, quédate. Stay, remain. Quédate. And again, we mark that E with an accent mark because queda is 2 syllables. Quédate. And then the negative, no te quedes. No te quedes. Do not stay. Número 7, ábrela, open it. And then the negative would be no la abras. Don't open it. Número 9, tócalo. Tócalo. Play it. Play the piano. Play it. Tócalo. And then the negative would be no lo toques. Don't play it. And remember, I hope you caught this, but we had to change the C to a QU here to keep the k sound of the infinitive. No lo toques. And then activity 4. Rafael, actividad 4 is on página 267, 267. Actividad 4, Rafael does not like making decisions. He asks his Brother Roberto before doing anything. Pretend that you are Roberto and answer Rafael according to the situation. So let's look at these. Let's look at the modelo. Me compro el suéter azul. Do I buy the blue sweater? Sí, cómpratelo. Yes, buy yourself it. Buy you it. Compra is the command form buy. That is the to affirmative command. It's the regular el form of the verb comprar. Compra, buy. Now I'm going to add by yourself. Cómprate. By yourself what? El suéter. Masculine singular. Lo. That's where I get the te, and that's where I get the lo. Cómpratelo. And then I have to look and make sure my accent mark is right. Since compra is more than one syllable, I have to mark the emphasized syllable with an accent mark. Cómpratelo. Sí, cómpratelo. And then the negative, remember those same pronouns would come before the conjugated verb for a negative command. No, no te lo compres. Don't buy yourself it. Don't buy yourself it. Remember, you see the compres. That comes from the verb comprar, compro, compr, and then no compres, the negative to command. All right, I want you to go ahead and pause the video here, and I want you to do, as usual, the odds for me. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And then we'll come back together in just a moment, and we'll check and see how you did on those. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Go ahead and pause the video and get going on that. All right, I hope you did well on that activity. Let's check your answers. Remember to make corrections in red so that we can take a look at how you did and talk about it when we get together again. Número 1, véndela, sell it. Véndela, sell the camera, sell it. Véndela. Notice the accent mark because vende was more than one syllable. Número 3, no las hagas. No las hagas. Don't do the homework. Don't do it. You better do your homework. But for this activity, we had to say no las hagas. Don't do them. Don't do the homeworks. Número 5, invítala. Invítala. Invite her. And again, invita, 3 syllables in that one. We had to mark with an accent the syllable that gets the emphasis. And if you listen to it, you can hear where that is. Invita. Invita. So when I add the pronoun to the end, invítala, I have to mark that emphasized syllable with an accent mark. Número 7, póntela, póntela, put it on yourself. That's the white shirt from número 7, póntela. This is one of those tricky ones because it's irregular. The affirmative to command for the verb poner is pon, put, pon. Ponte, put on, la, it. La there means it, referring to la camisa from the question. Póntela. Número 9, ayúdala. Ayúdala, help her. That's Isabel from número 9. Ayúdala, help her. Okay, mark any questions that you have, and then when we get together next time, you can ask those questions. We'll get some answers for you. All right? Before we finish off today, rather than ending our lesson with the verse for today, I wanted to go back and take a look at page 254, 254 in el libro. Listed there in your textbook is una receta para flan, which is a recipe for flan. I've tried that recipe, and it was a little eggy to me. I didn't really enjoy it very much, but I did find another one on YouTube that uses tres leches. Tres leches are 3 types of milk. If you look at this recipe, you'll see that they use regular milk, they use heavy whipping cream, and they use sweetened condensed milk to give it a much better consistency. So if you go to my playlist on my YouTube channel for Spanish 2, you will see this video added to the playlist there. It's called How to Make an Easy Baked Flan. And I think you might enjoy watching that recipe. Maybe if you have time, this is something that you could try at home, and I think you might enjoy it. So take a look at that recipe and let me know what you think about it. All right? As always, I hope this lesson has been an encouragement to you. This wraps up 10.2b. That's Chapter 10, Lesson 2b. In our next lesson, we will review all of Chapter 10.2 so that we can prepare for the quiz coming up in 2 lessons. All right? Que Dios les bendiga, clase.